I will record. I guess you all agree to the recording in that case. All right, so we have quite a bit of people. Let's get started. So good morning again. Happy y'all are here. Very happy for you to join the Global VA Stand-Up. For some of you, you would have joined in our last two. So we started this in December. And the intent of this is for us to come together. We are BAs, we're working in the field, or some of you guys are transitioning into the BA space. Some of you don't know what BA does and are trying to find out. So I thought it would be a great exercise for us to do every month, to just get together, to chit chat, to find out what challenges you guys are having, and to help you just get some career guidance in the BA space. So this is going to be held on the first Monday of every month. Normally between this time, between 10 and 11. You guys know that a stand-up is normally 15 minutes, right? So at first we tried it for 30 minutes because I know it's a lot of y'all, and that didn't work. So we're making it a 1 hour stand-up, which goes against all agile principles. But in our case, we can make an exception, right? Because we can adapt to change. So in this session, we talk about different topics. We want to encourage you in your BA career. Part of it is going to be separated into what I know a lot of people are at the interview stage. A lot of people are trying to get a job. So we'll talk about those things first, because those are the things that probably are going to be top of mind for a lot of people. And then we talk about some career advancements, like if anybody had a promotion, anybody got a new job, anybody switched careers to BA. We just want to highlight that and celebrate you a little bit. And then we talk a little bit about what you have on the board. So we do have an idea board that we had set out. Joshua, if you're here, could you please post the link to the idea board?
Okay.
So that people can start adding stuff. So, sometimes it's not always comfortable to talk about your stuff openly. So the idea board is there to give you an anonymous way to mention your issues. And I will try to give you some guidance based on that. So on the board, we have what went well, what didn't go well, and any action items. So you can just click on the plus button, I think, and then you can add your items there and we can discuss it there. As a matter of fact, I'll share my screen at that time so we can all see it together. So the link is being posted in the chat. So if you have anything you want to add, feel free to go ahead and add that. And that will be where we'll take the end of our call. So that's the format. In our last Insightful, many people mentioned having a community group where we can all kind of keep in contact after this meeting, and it's a great idea. We're actually in the process of coming up with a BA community that you can, send messages and share documents and things like that, but it's not quite ready yet. So in the meantime, I would encourage you guys to join my Facebook group. I think Joshua will also put that link in the chat. So join the Facebook group. If you're not following me on Facebook, also follow me there, because I put updates as to when we're having the meeting, if anything is changing, much more than I do on YouTube. So you can keep a better update as to what's going on, right? And most of you would have gotten the email. So I tried to send all the emails. So if you haven't, if you're registered to get this email invite, great. But if you know anybody else who would like to be a part of it, encourage them to register as well, so you can form a part of my email list. I try not to spam. So I'm not sending any spam email. When I send you email, it's going to be for your benefit, right? There's a free event or there's some information I want to share with you. So it should be much, much more useful. So feel free to share your email address so you can be a part of our email list. All right. What else we want to talk about? So we do have another event coming up. This one will be a paid event called our Insightful. So Insightful is a workshop session that's very interactive that we've been having. We have that also once every month, but the dates might vary. It's not going to be the first the first week like we do for the BA stand-up. So in our Insightful events, it's where we have a 3-hour workshop and we literally get hands-on. So we've done one on case studies for interviews. We've done one on a real-world project to help you see how you actually work as a BA on real projects with real timelines and real pressure, right? So you get that exposure. And in this upcoming Insightful, which we'll have on February 25th, we're going to be doing a user story write-a-thon. So we're basically going to write user stories for all kinds of scenarios. Scenarios where you don't know the information, so you got to do a spike story. Scenarios where you have a UI design. scenarios where you're not building anything, you're just implementing, you're configuring. It's like a COTS, a commercial off-the-shelf software that you're implementing in your organization. All kinds of scenarios, right? So we'll go through how do you write stories for these different scenarios, and what will be the acceptance criteria? How do you know how to write the acceptance criteria? And how do you know that it's the right level of detail? And how do you communicate that? So in this user story write-a-thon, which we'll have on February 25th, it'll be everybody just getting together and jumping into Jira, jumping into DevOps, and banging out some stories, right? So I think it's going to be quite exciting, and I'm excited for you guys to do that. You can find information about that on the website, karaleise.com, and there is a discount code also available. So if you go to the site, you'll be able to see that. So that will be the next event. So looking forward to seeing most of you all there, if not all of you. That would be great. All right. So let's start with, where are y'all from? Where are you guys coming in from? Last time I had so many people from all over the world. I always want to find out where y'all from. Charlotte, North Carolina. Great. Nice.
Yeah.
Jamaica. Oh, I'm Jamaican, right? So every time I see a fellow Jamaican, I'm always super happy. Kenya, South Africa. Awesome. Decatur, Georgia, you're right beside me. We should hang out. I'm in Cobb County, Georgia. Zimbabwe, UK, Canada. Awesome. Yeah. Las Vegas. Awesome. Dallas, Texas. Great. Great. Nigeria in the house. I have so many people from Nigeria. I have a great Nigerian following. Iowa, USA. Nice. Nice. Canada. A lot of Canadians too. A lot of the Canadians I have are typically in Ontario, or they're in Calgary or British Columbia. I have a lot of people from those places in Canada. That's awesome. All right, great. There's Ontario, London. Nice. India. Have a lot of Indians too. That's great. I think I saw South Carolina. Somebody said YouTube. You're from YouTube. Leeds, UK. Nice. Well, we seem to have great representation here from everybody. That's awesome. Very good. So Memphis, Tennessee. Nice. I've been to Tennessee, but I went to, what is it, Gatlinburg? Gatlinburg. It was a great place. Had a lot of fun there. That was awesome. All right. So as we get started, don't be shy to jump in if you want to, add anything. I wanted to start off with people who are in the interview stage of their career. So anybody here who is interviewing still and going through those interview sessions? Anybody here doing that? Just put in the chat if you want to highlight that you're still interviewing. And does anybody have any interview stories that they may want to share with the group? Whether it went well or not, or whether you had any particular question that you were stumped on and you want to ask me, how would you answer that? Anybody in the group have anything like that?
Hi, Karaleise. This is Yolanda Jackson.
I
am in the interviewing stages again. I have been a BA in the healthcare space for quite a number of years. Since C19, I've kind of been misplaced and worked different contract jobs. So I'm trying to get back into a permanent full-time space with my credentials and all, and it's quite daunting. It's quite daunting. So that's where I am. So I'm interviewing and trying to get back there.
Yeah, I will say that I'm quite surprised at how slow the process has been for BAs lately. I know people who got laid off last year and are still in the job hunt, 6 months later, 7 months later. And it's strange because typically, it normally takes you 6 months to get a new job anyway. But I've found that with BA being quite in demand, it used to be a little bit shorter. But I want to encourage you to keep up the energy, right? Keep up the energy of applying. I know that you wanted to come out of contract and kind of get into a more settled full-time role. But in the interim, I find that sometimes they're taking on more contract work because they're not sure if they'll be able to keep up. They know they have a project right now and they want somebody for this role, but I'm not sure if the market is as full for full-time jobs all the time. So I know people who are still being able to get jobs, like full-time jobs at the right salary, but it's just becoming harder and harder. So I still would encourage you to keep the energy for applying. And since you have all this experience and you're in healthcare, one of the things I want to also encourage people is don't only look for business analyst as the title for the job, right? It could be called something different. They call things all kinds of stuff. They'll call it business, sometimes they call it product analyst, healthcare analyst. They'll say product owner sometimes, but when you read what they're asking you to do, the actual job description, it is exactly the business analyst role. So the employers don't always have a good grasp as to what our role is. And so you kind of have to just be open to looking for other titles that might be asking you to do the same things using your same skills and just, try to do it that way. And if a contract job comes up, I think you should be open to that also again, until you can get something that's a little bit more permanent because of the state of the market. So hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely will. Like I said, the fact that it's been a year now since I've been out. So it is I'm kind of hard pressed, and I am open to contract as well. So just looking at your videos and things are encouraging me, and I'm staying, on top of things. So,
Yeah, and
thank you.
I have a consult called the Interview Success Blueprint, and that's some of the things I always hear in those consults. One of the things I like to tell the people who book the consults with me is you need to make sure that your resume is also, even though you have all this wealth of experience, right? You need to make sure your resume is speaking to you as a BA and hasn't necessarily boxed you in as a healthcare BA. See what I mean? Because what can happen is there's so much healthcare on there that there may be something that you can also do that's not in the healthcare industry, but they don't see that because they only see healthcare. So you have to be very meticulous as to how you word your resume to make sure you don't box yourself into just one industry. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, good. Anybody else have any interview stories? Anybody still in the job market want to share their story?
Hi, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Shravanti.
Mm-hmm.
So I am working as a Scrum Master for an Indian company, and a couple of years ago, like I've been moved to US. So since then, like I'm looking for BA positions as well as Scrum Master, and I really don't know, like I'm not getting any calls or emails. I'm just like applying for mostly like around some 1,000+ jobs since 2 years, but not even a call. I don't know, like it's something regarding my resume fault or the presentation, or at least like if I get a call, if I did not get that, okay, these are the things I have to take care, I'll get to know. But at least like not even a call, just like thank you for applying, blah blah blah. That's all. So I'm getting so I really don't know what to do. Is there anything you can help in this situation?
Yeah, I think it might, again, the market has taken a little bit of a turn, right? So there is much more people in the market looking for the BA role compared to what it used to be. Back in 2021, for example, when I did my BA job market report, it was so hot. I mean, you just put a resume out there and people calling you and you have to be fighting them off with a stick, right? But it's not the case right now. There's a lot more, of course, inflation. Companies are buckling down and being as lean as they can be. So that's what's caused it. And there are so many layoffs that are happening of very highly skilled people. So now there's more people in the job market and less jobs to be had. But you can still get jobs. I have people I've counseled who have done some of my consults and they've been successful. So it's still possible. The thing is you just have to do a little bit more volume and you have to be really more exceptional in your interview process. You have to nail it. You have to understand what you're talking about and be able to convince them that you're the best hire. And that's some of the things that we talk about in my consults. Now, for you, what is to me a little bit concerning is that you're not getting any calls, right? You should be
Yes.
getting calls. So if
Yeah.
the resume, I would point to the resume to be the first thing because the resume is the first way for them to even consider you to call you. So the resume should be, it only has one job. The entire job of the resume is to get the call. It doesn't need to convince them that you're the best candidate. You don't need to put everything you've ever done on your resume. It just needs to be focused enough on getting them interested in you to call you. So I would really take another look at the resume, make sure you're trying to be Scrum Master and business analyst at the same time. There are hybrid roles like that where they want this blend of skills, but if you're applying for Scrum Master, then you focus on Scrum Master things, right? If you're applying for a business analyst, you can incorporate them both, but you have to take another look at how you're wording your resume and how you've structured it. A lot of the things I see people do, which is a unfortunate mistake, is that their resume itself doesn't look good. Like the resume isn't formatted properly. The resume, it looks like just words thrown on a page. Now, if I'm going to hire a BA who's going to have to write documentation for my clients and for my company, if you can't write your resume well, I'm going to think you're not going to be able to write anything for me well. So the resume would be the main culprit in this case. I think you really have to take another look at it. Maybe it's formatted well. Maybe it does have some things there. Maybe you're using unique titles. I see people be very creative with their resume. Instead of saying work experience, they put some fancy thing. We don't need to be fancy. We need to be as regular as possible with the headings, because it has to go through the automated systems. It has to go through your application tracking system for them to be able to, parse the resume and put it in the right fields and then serve you up to the recruiters. So you really have to be very, very careful about how you're putting the words on your resume and make the most impactful things first. They're not going to read the whole thing. If you have 2 pages of resume, people more than likely not going to read all of it. But you need to make sure when they do read the first part, which is your professional summary, maybe your, first parts of your work experience, it's impactful. It says, okay, yeah, let's call her. Let's see what she's about. So yeah, I would say my advice to you is to take another look at your resume. I have an article on my website about resume and some of the errors to avoid. So I don't know if, Joshua, you could find that article and post it in the chat, and that will give you some tips as to what to do or what not to do on your resume as you're going out there looking for jobs.
Sure.
All right.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay, thanks,
thank you.
guys. We still have a lot to cover, so I'm going to move on to our next topic that I have here in my trusty notes. So what about career advancement? Has anyone in this group had any successes that they want to share? Anybody who got a new job as a BA? Anybody who got promoted into a new role? Anybody who transitioned and it was a difficult transition, but they were able to do it over the last month or even back to December? Anybody want to share that?
Well, I can actually talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
For a couple months, I worked as a business analyst, and it was my first experience after graduating university. And it wasn't a good experience at all, because the company was not really paying attention to our department, and I didn't really get a chance to practice anything I know. And like after 7 months, I moved to another country, and now I'm working as a business engineer.
Yay! Congratulations! I'm very
Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Congrats. You know what? Sometimes you can start your career and you'll be like in the wrong place. And then eventually you make a change and then you start, just being exposed to better things. So don't be discouraged too much. Maybe it's an environment. And with you changing your environment, you had a better experience. I'm very happy to hear that. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We celebrate you, girl. Very nice.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, somebody else had something. Habiba, did you want to say Kahindi? I think you had shared something in our December stand-up. Do you want to give us any updates? No?
Hi, Karaleise. Good morning or good afternoon. This is Gabriella from Jamaica. So I was working as a junior business analyst at a financial institution, and then I switched jobs to a senior business analyst at a larger financial institution in Jamaica. So when I initially applied for the job, it was just a BA, and then based on the interview that I did, I was told that my qualifications and how I handled the interview, they recommended me to be the senior business analyst. So that's just my little story.
Nice. Congratulations, Gabriella. It's always great to see us transition or move up in our career. You need to have a career path, right? So you come in, you start as a regular BA, and then you see an opportunity to be a senior BA. That's what you should be doing. And then I had it on a video quite a bit a long time ago about where's our career going. And I think depends on how it's structured. It's either going from BA, senior BA, lead BA, depends on how many tiers of BA you have, and then into product owner, product manager. And if you want to go up into, C-level or VP level, you can do that too. But that's kind of the trajectory, because once you're a BA, you learn the skills of how to elicit. You're good at coming up with processes. You really can take your career wherever you want to go, because those are great business skills to have. So congrats again, Gabriella.
Thank
Very happy
you.
for that news. Good. We celebrate you. I need to come up with like a horn or something that says, "Papa," or throw some confetti or something. Awesome. All right, Swati, go ahead. Swati, you wanted to say something? I know there's a few other people with their hands raised.
Yes, Karaleise, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out where can I unmute my
I know.
mute button.
Happens all
I'll
the
be
time.
really quick, Karaleise. So recently, I'm expected to gather the requirements for a Power BI dashboards. What if a project manager has planned a certain way for me to do, but that's not how the product manager is expecting me to do? For example, my project manager asked me to gather the requirements from the existing documents that I have and present it to the business. But my product manager had asked me to do it in an alternate way, where he wanted me to first go to the development team and gather what all the requirements that are feasible to develop, and then present it to our business clients. But my project manager gave me an alternate approach to go to the business first and then translate it to the business. Now I'm in a position where I cannot escalate someone who have given me a job to do to my product manager. At the same time, I cannot take the blame. I hope you understand.
I fully get it. I get it so well, you wouldn't even know how well I get it. But I wanted to talk about career advancement first, but I want to come back to your point, because this is an important thing in terms of the things that you have to handle as a BA. Sometimes there are people above you who are giving you contradicting things. But in general, you are the expert in terms of gathering the requirements. You are the expert. So I'll tell you how to handle that very sensitive topic, because you don't want to, obey almost what your product manager is saying, but you also know what is the best practice, and what the other person is telling you might make more sense. So there's a fine way to walk that line, so you're not pissing off, but you're delivering what they need. As long as you deliver what they need, they should be okay. But I'll walk you through how to do that in a second. Let me finish with the career advancement topics first, and then we'll jump.
Sure. Thank you so much.
The Tinder, go ahead. I think you had your hand up next.
Yes. Hi, Karaleise. Thank you for this opportunity, and pleasure to virtually meet you.
Yeah, me too.
You have been an integral part of me becoming a BA. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be able to just kind of virtually meet you and be able to attend this stand-up. So a couple of years ago, I decided to make this career transition from a registered pharmacy technician to a product analyst. So that's how my BA journey started. Took my first contract was as a BA, and then the second contract, I'm now working as a senior BA. Talking about the career like growth, I did get offered, like my manager came to me and said to me, "Hey, you could make a really good product manager." I said, "I know." But at this point, I'm just kind of thinking like, do I want to go into product management, or should I go into project management? So I haven't really decided there, but yeah, there is definitely room for growth and opportunities out there.
Yeah, so it's great. It's a great question in terms of your career trajectory. Like, where do you go from here, right? What do you do? And I've had that similar conversation with my VP, and he's like, "Karaleise, you should be doing this, and you could do this." Like, yeah, I know. Yeah. You have to be careful what you want to do. For me, one of the things that has kept me kind of routed in the BA leadership space is because I do love what I do. I do love solving complex problems. The other day I was talking to my VP. I told him, give me the complicated projects. Like, don't give me any more easy. Like, I don't want to do anything too simple because it's just, I feel like my brain is going dead. So he gives me the enterprise clients with a whole bunch of systems. I work in banking, right? So there's a lot of different systems to work with and APIs to call and blah. It's very complicated. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Give me the biggest clients with the most complicated systems, because I also like them because they spend money. They're like, if you suggest something, we need to have this new feature or this new component, it's going to cost you how many additional $1 million, they'll do it, right? So I don't have to haggle with them as much, and I'm not the one doing that part, the PM does, but still we can make that suggestion and know that they have the budget to be able to do it. So I like what I do. I really do like the kinds of projects I work on. But when I look at the PM and the PO, as in product manager and project manager, I see them as being a little bit more detached from the details, right?
Yeah,
They're not subject matter experts. They're managing the lifetime of the product and the roadmap of it and the discussion with the C-level executives. And they're really at this administrative, at a higher level administrative. They're not in the details. So where I get nervous is I don't want to be detached from the details. I actually do like working on something and seeing it come to fruition and seeing how it solves the problem for the end customer and seeing how they're using, what we came up with. I like that. So I don't know if I want to spend my days in meetings talking about budget, right? I don't know if I want to spend my days just like managing staff and their vacation time. Like I don't know if I want to do that. So in my case, every time I look over at the PM role and it's open and they're pushing me over there, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
I'll pick other
Absolutely.
things that's away from my not my expertise, but away from the things that bring me joy. Like I don't
Yeah.
get joy in trying to work out when this staff person goes off on vacation to find another resource for that. Like that doesn't bring me joy. So
Yeah.
so that's where I get turned off, right? But there are lots of people who naturally transition from BA into product management and project management. You just need to see if that's something that you would want to do. In terms of pay scale, I don't really know I'm not convinced that they're making more money than we are. I'm not convinced. The pay seems to be in the same range. So there really isn't much incentive, except if you're really working on larger projects, you might make slightly a little bit more, but it's a different set of tasks that you have to solve for. So it just depends on how you feel about getting into that kind of world that you have to make a personal choice on that one.
Thanks, Karaleise. Yeah, I'm just
Alright.
taking my time to kind of just think about it and see what my next move would be.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This was very helpful.
Yes. All right, I'll take two more because we have a lot more stuff on the base stand-up board, and I got to go back to Satinder's question. So who was next? Ashutosh. By the way, Swahi and Satinder, you can put your hands down. Go ahead, next person. Go ahead. Swashu, I think you had your hand up. Do you want to say something? Maybe they're finding the unmute button. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so recently, actually 6 months back, I joined as a BA as my starting career, and I have assigned to a new project. Actually, it's been running, but I am in the midway. I am joining there, so I'm confused how it will be going, and it's already been. I have not assigned from the starting, and in between I am going to handle it. So that's the means some kind of feedback how I can handle it. I need some kind of updates.
Yeah, and it's always weird when you start a company and they're in the middle of the project. So you're like, okay, where do I start? You always start at the beginning.
Yes.
What is the problem why does this project exist? What problem are they trying to solve? Why they actually created a project and funded a project to solve? So even though it's in the middle and they're at they're in development and they're going ahead and you're just joining, you got to keep up with the pace. You personally have to go back to the beginning. Okay, what was the problem? Why did we do this? What are they doing today? What is the as is state today? What major things have we done so far? What were the requirements that we gathered before they started development? You kind of have to go back, and you may have to do it on your own while you're still in the stand-ups and trying to catch up, right? So you personally would have to spend extra time. If it's a system that you don't know, You have to go, learn the system. You have to go read the manual. You're going to have to spend upfront time just getting up to speed on your own, outside of the onboarding that they gave you, on your own, so you can have a grasp as to what led them to be building the system and where are we now. How do you give them value now while they're still in the process? Is as you get familiar with the terms and the problem and the system. Right now, you may not be able to start writing user stories, right? Because you're just trying to learn it. But if you're in a meeting, you can add value by, taking notes of the meeting. Here's what we talked about. Here's the discussion points. Here's the action items, and you send that out as an email. You join the sessions and you try to just soak in as much as you can. And that's how you kind of start adding value little by little as you start in the middle of a project. It's never good to start in the middle because, you have to juggle it, but you have to personally find out what the problem was and what it is that we're solving for and where we are right now based on where we're coming from, so you can see what the future state should be. It's the only way. You can't know what they know because you've not been there from the beginning. So you kind of have to catch up by going back and trying to figure that out. All right. Okay. So let me see what's going on in the chat. You guys have been talking a lot. I haven't been able to read the chat. This person, Kenia, says he interviewed with a hiring manager, then panelist interview was turned down since I was not heavy in analysis or in SAP security. But then 2 weeks later, they called me back to offer me the job anyway. Yes. I was so shocked, but here I am 1 month in, learning SAP security as W2 full-time functional BA for $125K a year. That's awesome. So I really could use some coaching and hands-on practice just to get more comfortable. Yes, I definitely have a consult called the New Job Game Plan, which is for BAs like you who just got a new job and are like, okay, what do I do? I get my new project. What do I write? What do I say? What do I ask the stakeholders? I have a consult to help you with that, so you can be confident and you can kind of prove to them that you deserve that job. They made the right choice by picking you, right? Having a niche is very helpful. Let's see what else is here. You guys have been talking a lot. I love it. As a PM, I like being in the details. We do not always have BAs on our project. This is why I'm transitioning to learn more about the field. Right. So sometimes, again, the companies, they just do whatever, right? Sometimes you have a PM functioning as a BA, or you might have a product owner functioning as a BA. So having the BA skills at the detail level is going to help you to be able to be a PM or be a PO, right? So it's really, you're at a better position because you already are in the details. So you can always be at the higher level. But if you have a PO who doesn't have a BA, now they have to learn how to do a BA stuff, right? So that's why. That's great. Let's see. Okay. All right. So the next thing I had on here, which I wanted to talk about, let's go back to Satinder's question. So remember, Satinder just asked us about what happens if you have two managers who have two different approaches. Sorry, guys, let me plug my computer in because I think it might be, I don't want to die while I'm in this conversation with you. Oh, there we go. Okay. So what happens if you have two different managers who have two different approaches to how you should do your BA role? I have encountered this quite a bit. And it normally happens at the beginning when they have not yet known how I work and they just see me as a regular person starting the company and they want to tell me, okay, do this, and they want to tell me exactly how they think it should be done. But you kind of have to train them to trust you to do the job properly. You do not want a situation where they're micromanaging you and telling you exactly how to do your requirements. I like to professionally push back, right? In a way that says, don't worry about it. I'm going to get the requirements for you. We're going to have this document ready. I'll give you a draft by, XYZ date, so that you can rest assured. You don't need to follow up with me. Don't need to ask me about it. It's going to be there, right? And I'm going to probably create a document that you can see, so it can be shared with you, so you can see the progress, right? So you kind of have to slowly train them to trust you that you can do it. I don't want a project manager telling me I need to go to the technical team and get requirements from them and then go to the business team. I know how to do it. I know how to get requirements. Don't worry about that part. Worry about the project manager stuff. Worry about the product owner stuff. That's your realm. When it comes to requirements gathering, when it comes to writing documentation, I am the subject matter expert. I am the owner of it. And that's how you have to position yourselves in a professional way, right? So what happens is when the PM says, go to dev first, and the other person, PO, I don't know who the person is, Satinder, when the other person says, go to the business first, what you can just say to both of them is that you're going to get the requirements documented by this certain date, and you'll be talking to both of them, right? Now, as a professional BA, we know that we don't need the technical team to tell us how to do the system. We're not driven by dev. Dev is the arms, they know how to do it. We need their input. If the business wants something that dev can't do, we obviously can't do it. We have to come up with a different solution. But we are building software not to just build software, or we're not building processes and systems for that sake. We're building it for the betterment of the business. We're trying to help solve the business problem. That's why we exist. We're not here to make dev happy. So you have to go to the business first. The business has to tell you what it is that they're trying to accomplish and what is impeding them, what is their as-is state. Then you as the analyst will take that information, you'll do your processing, your techniques or whatever, and then you'll say, this is what we came up with. This is the problem we're trying to solve. Now you meet with dev. And you say, Dev, this is what the business is trying to do. How can we accommodate that? What issues can we have? Can we call this API? No, we don't have that API. We don't have this component. We need to do this. We'd have to pay for this. And that's how the conversation goes. And then you extract from both of those places either your requirements document or a user story. And now you pull everybody together, the dev, maybe somebody from the business, and the PM, and say, based on my analysis, this is where we're at. This is the problem we're trying to solve. This is what the business is saying. This is what the challenges are on the technical side. Let's discuss it. Let's come up with a solution that we all can agree to and we get alignment, right? That is how it will eventually work out. But you have to train them to trust you, that you are the owner of the requirements. You don't need to be dictated to. Nobody needs to micromanage you and tell you who to talk to and what to ask them. Don't need it. So once you can deliver on this thing without, you won't piss off the PM and you won't piss off either of the person. You will just be able to deliver the end result that they both want. And then next project, they'll have more faith that you can get it done. Does that help, Satinder? Satinder, do you have any follow-up questions on that? I think she's trying to find her unmute button.
Yeah, all good from my end, Karaleise. Thank you so much.
All right, great. So does anybody else have anything else they want to share before we go to the Scrum board? I think I had some other topics here. Okay. All right, so let's jump to our Scrum board. I'm going to share my screen. Where's the screen share again? Here we go. Okay, so this is what we got on our Scrum board. Thank you guys for adding it. What do y'all think about this idea boards? What do y'all think about it? I think it's pretty cool, huh? You can just jump in there and add your stuff, create your board. It's free. That's always good. That's awesome. So let's look at what's going well with y'all. So completed my first BRD. Yes, very good. Listen, the BRD, if you're working in waterfall, BRD might not seem like so bad to write, but people struggle with it because you have to write it. You have to write everything that you think we're going to need to build and then hand that over to somebody else, right? So I think being able to accomplish a BRD is pretty good. It's a good documentation. No, it's not the end of it for you. You have to support the team as they have questions about it. You have to present it. You have to get sign off. There's more. But at least I think having this deliverable that you can say I've created, which is going to be the source for everything else that's going to happen, I think that's a great accomplishment. So good for you. Very good. Promoted to lead BA. Woo! I tell you, I need to have like a horn or a confetti that I could, throw on the screen for y'all. I want to really celebrate you guys. So that's awesome for your promotion. Don't know who this is, but congrats on that. Started a job as a BA. Don't know who that is either, but that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I don't know if the person's here, but what are the roles that you guys have in your, is it just called business analyst, or you guys have separate, like different roles? Because I know people who are doing product analyst, reporting analyst, all kinds of names that is not just business analyst that could help people who are looking for jobs to know what else to look for. Anybody have any thoughts on that? You can share it in the chat. I can't see the chat right now, but you can share it. All right, started a new job as a senior functional BA. There's one, functional BA also. In SAP security, I think that was Kina, I think, was it? Do you want to just jump in and give us a quick highlight about that job? Yes, no? Looking for the mute button? By the way, Joshua, there was a couple of people that were still in the waiting room. Thank you. All right. All right, we're going to move on from that person. I'm sure you can put in the chat. My pet BA project gaining more traction this year. I like how you call it your pet project. It's really important too, right? They don't have any project that's not important. So it's not really a pet that you can discard if you don't want it. It's really it's a real project, right? But good for you. Doing my honors in business and systems analysis while in my first role as an intermediate BA. Awesome. Very good. Congratulations, guys. Guys, you need to give some emojis or hearts for these people who are making progress in their careers, right? How do I feel confident during stakeholder meetings? So this probably should be over in the I'm not doing so well section. I don't know if you can move it. I guess not. I don't think you can move it. By the way, guys, you can always come in here and upvote things, right? If you really agree with it, you can upvote it. All right, so let's start with this. How do I feel confident during my stakeholder meetings? I find the best way to be confident is when you know stuff. To know things helps you to be confident about what you're talking about. So one of the first things you have to do is close the knowledge gap. If you don't know the product, spend time learning the product. If you don't know the processes, go look at the documentation. If you don't know what the business problem is, go talk to, maybe a one-on-one conversation to somebody. Just walk me through how your day goes when you're doing this particular thing, right? So the way that you build confidence is to get the knowledge. That's the first thing, because you can't talk about something you don't know. And so you got to spend maybe some extra time in the evenings after work, whenever, find some time to learn. I got a job one time early in my career, and they had a very complicated system, and I didn't know anything about the system, and they were working on the project. And one of the first things I did was when I asked them to give me login to the system so I can go in and play with it myself, I did that. And then they had a user guide, and I read the entire thing front to back. Read the entire thing, all the terms, all the stuff. So when I soak that in, when I go to the meetings and they start using all these company jargons, now I know what it meant. Now I understand how the system works because I was literally doing it myself. So you get the confidence by having the knowledge. That's the first part. The second part is kind of prep for the interview. So if you're going to have a call with a stakeholder and you're working on a particular project, you know what the scope of the project is, then you kind of anticipate what kind of questions would they ask me, what kind of things do I want to bring out from the conversation, how do I want to steer the conversation. You don't know what the exact answers will be, and that will change how you ask questions, but have like an outline of how you're going to steer this conversation, what you want to be the end objective when you're done talking to this person, and kind of have some high level questions as to what you should be asking that give them enough room to tell you things that you don't know. If you already know it, there's no point in talking to them, right? But you want open-ended questions that can help them to give you the answer. So in my consult called the BA, the new job game plan, I walk people through that. Like, what kinds of questions do you ask on these kinds of projects? How do you interface with the technical team? How do you have these stakeholder interviews? All of these things is part of the things that I cover in that consult. So if you really want more than what I'm telling you here, we can do that consult and I can help you get that confidence, right? All right. So here's what's not going too well for a lot of people. And it's just unfortunate, but it's true. Still looking for a job. Right? So people are still out here trying to get the job. And some people have really updated their resume, because I have counseled a lot of people and have friends also who just, say, hey, Karaleise, here's my resume, take a check, take a look. And I give them some tips as to what to change. So they have really good, well-done documentation, well-done resumes. And they're knowledgeable. I've talked to senior BAs, people who have been project managers who really do know what they're talking about. But the market has been pretty stiff. But again, people are getting jobs, and there are jobs to be had. So you just have to really be keeping up the energy, like I was telling someone else earlier, that you just keep applying. You keep applying, and it's the volume. You're not going to put 50 resumes out there and then that's it. Sometimes it works, but the volume is also very important. How much resumes you're putting out there. You can reach out to different companies directly. People have been doing that, but don't be spammy with it. Like, don't be bothering them too much. But if you see that they have a career on their actual website, apply from there too. And you can also try some of these contract that we talked about. So Upwork, freelancer, we work remotely. Try to find if there's any BA related roles there that you can do. Maybe just writing a BRD for somebody, something to keep you involved, occupied while you're still looking for that more permanent job. Yeah, somebody raised their hand. Oh, a bunch of people raised their hand. Okay, guys, just go one at a time. I can't see who's raised their hand first. Go ahead, guys. No? Nobody? I think I saw at least one person hand up.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, sometimes you see job ad that is saying business system analyst. I'm kind of believing maybe it's not because I don't have technology background, so I don't usually apply for this. I just wanted to be sure that it's correct because sometimes you see API, all those things, and then
So systems analysts, I would kind of shy away from it because they require you to do a little bit more technical knowledge. But it depends. You need to just read the job requirements, like what are you doing day to day in that job, to see if it's something that you can do, because we can learn anything, right? If it's a system admin in addition to BA, maybe you could do that, because if it's just learning how to add users and remove users and configure this and change this configuration, that's something you could learn over time. But if it's a more technical, it requires you to know a little bit more deep into coding and all that. If you don't have a technical background, you'll be overwhelmed and it might not be the best fit for you. So you really have to just read the job description properly, make sure that you're comfortable with what's there. But typically, the business systems analyst is a much more technical role than the business analyst, which is sometimes more functional.
Yeah. That is my question. The next question: what does a functional BA do?
The functional BA typically works on more software projects. So you're working with a technical team to help them to know what the business requirements are for them to put in the software. So you don't have to be technical, but you have to deal with technical teams. You don't have to write code, but you have to be aware of the code that's being written. You don't have to understand all of the intricate details or workings of the system, but you have to know how that relates to the business. So it's a little bit more on the business side, but really you're the bridge between both. So yeah, so that's kind of overview, high level overview of what that is. Okay, some people have to go. So the guys will have to drop. I know we have 9 minutes left. For the guys who have to drop, thank you for joining. Be sure to check out Insightful for the next user story writing session if you're interested in that. And thank you all for coming, and we'll hope to see you in the next Global BA Stand-Up. All right. Anybody else? We have a few minutes, so let me take one more question real quick, and then I gotta go through the rest of this board.
Hi, Karaleise. This is Swati. I asked you a question. I'm sorry, I suddenly logged off from the meeting and rejoined again. I asked you a question about the conflict approaches that are suggested to me by the project manager and the product manager in presenting my requirements to the clients.
Sorry, I thought it was Satina that asked me.
It's okay.
And it's in the recording, but I'll tell you a real quick answer. So what I said was, if the project manager and the product, product manager, product and project?
Yes.
The two of them are conflicting. I mean, you have to kind of walk that narrow line, right? But the truth is that you are the owner of the requirements, and you shouldn't be dictated as to what avenue you take to get to the requirement. You don't want to be micromanaged. So you have to train them to trust you that you know the best way to get to the requirements. Typically, we talk to the business first, and the business requirements is what drives what the technical team will build. So you don't want it to be driven by the technical team, because the technical team will tell you all of the intricate details about how the system can work, but that's not why we exist. We don't exist for the systems to work. We exist to to provide value to the business. What is the business trying to do? The business is going out there to make sales, to make money, to keep us growing. What is hindering them? What's the problem they have? You need to find that out first, and that drives everything else. So what I would say to you is when they ask you to do the one says go to dev, one says go to business, you tell them no, you talk to both teams and you'll be able to get this requirement done. Sorry, getting a dry throat here. You'll be able to get this requirement done with XYZ time, give them a timeline, be very professional about it. I'm going to give you a draft. So you go to both teams, but you don't let them tell you who to go to first. You have to train them kind of how to work with you and how to trust you to know the best way to get the requirements.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Karaleise. That's great
right.
advice.
Sorry, guys, got a little cough going here. So PM and PO are not on the same page. So this is the one that you put in, Swati. Okay, a bit of ambiguity.
Sure, Karaleise.
Yeah. A bit of ambiguity and lack of agreement between the dev team and the business unit. That's common. So lots of times the dev want to do something one way, business want to do something differently. At the end of the day, like we just said, the team exists, everything exists to serve the business. The development team, you, the PM, we're all here because the business needs to make money. So what is it that they're doing? What is it that the business needs to function, to make money, so that we can all have a job, right? So if there is misalignment, that's where you come in as the BA. Sorry, guys, my computer isn't plugged in. Give me 1 second. There we go. I didn't want it to cut off while we're talking. So you exist to serve the business. So what you need to be able to do, if the business and the dev team is not aligned, you have to be that bridge between them. Okay, what is it that the business is trying to do? And what is the challenge that the technical team is having? Okay, they're saying, we want this new system that can do all these fancy stuff. And tech is saying, we have to upend everything that we've built to give you one new feature. All right, well, where is the compromise? How can we still accomplish some of what the business wants, but maybe not all, and we can get it done in a certain timeline? So those are the kinds of conversations you have to bring out so that you can get more alignment. They may not be able to get everything, but they can get something, and then we have a phase 2 or a version 2, release 2, and over time we can give them little by little, or we can give them something like this right now, but we're going to build tech debt, and there's going to be technical debt here, but we're going to have to solve that technical debt or pay for that debt later. So do we want to do it that way? So there are many approaches, and it's not on you alone as the BA to solve all of this problem, right? You're going to be instrumental in helping come up with possible solutions. And the key to this is to bring everybody together so that together we can come up with something we all agree to. That's how you solve those conflicts. And it's common, it's very common that the business wants something that the tech team can't deliver, or vice versa. So this is a part of your role also, to be the bridge, right?
Thank you so much, Karaleise. Yeah, that's
awesome.
That's
I think I need to work on my resume because no callbacks in recent months. Yeah, we talked about that. You have to really make the resume shine. Starting a new role and getting up to speed could sometimes be overwhelming, prioritizing work streams and responsibilities. So the job it can be quite fast-paced. Every meeting you go to, and in my world, I have meetings all day long. I have to block my calendar to not have a meeting. So every meeting you go to, there's an action item that you have to do. And it seems sometimes that you're doing all the work. Right? You're like, what is everybody else doing if I'm doing all of this stuff? But the BA role can be that demanding, right? And hopefully you're in a role with coworkers who are understanding and can help you split the load. But you have to come up with your own system of prioritizing. One of my systems is to block my calendar when it's my focus time. Don't put no meetings on there because I need to be in that mental space to be able to focus. Otherwise, I context switch between meetings and I lose that focus that I would have had. So I have to come up with systems, and I also have a prioritization. Okay, this is most important because the timeline versus this versus that. And I will tell whoever I'm working with, hey, this thing that you wanted last week, there's something else that came in. So this is going to be delayed a little bit. So you have to communicate clearly so that nobody's wondering what you're doing and just adding more stuff to your plate. So communicate clearly what you need to do. And when new things come in that push other things out of the way, let that also be clear that, okay, this is now delayed. So you have to be very, very on top of your time and your prioritization so that you don't let things fall through the cracks, because if you miss something, you miss it in the requirements, they're not going to build it. Then when you go to release it, it's a bunch of bugs. And it all points back to you. So you have to, as a new BA, I can see how this is overwhelming, but it's a skill you're going to have to grow as you continue in this field. All right. Jack of all trades, but master of none. Jack of all trades, but master of none. I think that quote goes further. There's another sentence in that quote, but I won't say it here. Yeah, you end up doing too much. Don't try to wear everybody's hat. I did a little short the other day that says that you're not going to be covering for everybody anymore in this year. And it's true. Don't cover everybody's hat. Let the PM do what the PM is supposed to do. Know what you're supposed to be responsible for. You are the owner of the requirements, the documentation of the requirements, the training manuals, all of these things that come with the feature. That's you. Planning budget and all these other things, that's not you. You can help and they need your help, but make sure the thing that you're responsible for is being done, because nobody else can do it but you. Whereas if you're in all of these places, dragged all over the place in different meetings and doing all this different stuff, you're going to water down what you're responsible for. And then they're going to point to say, well, this is what you should be doing. So be very careful how people want to crowdsource their job with you. So when it's their responsibility, all of a sudden we all got to come together and do it. But then when it's your responsibility, you are the only one. And you've been pulled into all different directions. That way, when it's time for you to do your stuff, you're exhausted. You know, the day is ended, the work day is ended. Now you got to work at night. Please, people, let's be smart this year. And let's focus on how to professionally push back and how to focus on what it is that you need to do for your role. Okay, we're at time, and I still haven't talked about the blockers. Let me go to the blockers real quick. Not able to make the switch because of lack of confidence. If you really want some help, you can, schedule the BA interview success blueprint with me, where we walk through how to make sure that you have the very, very best position to get this job. Like all the things that you could possibly do to get the job within your control, we work through that. Who do I listen to? We just talked about that. You are the owner of the requirements. Juggling between a technical BA and a core BA role. Do you advise in specializing as a generalist or as a technical BA? It depends on what you're doing. I don't think it's time to niche down into some specific role right now. I think being a generalist BA is probably better for you to get a better exposure. But it also depends. Like, I wouldn't say go be an expert in Salesforce and be a Salesforce specific BA right now, right? Or I wouldn't say, because I want you to have the opportunity to pivot to the role that we're doing. Everything we're doing is transferable. So you really don't have to stick to only one thing, one software tool, or I don't know what, when you say technical, if you're talking about the software tool or just some other thing. But I would suggest, in general, my advice has always been to be a bit more on the generalist side of the BA. Try to understand how to bridge between IT and business unit. Yeah. Company is huge. It's hard to find the right person to help me out since I require someone to show me the path. I'm a junior. Yeah, you're going to have to do a lot of that on your own. Documentation is always great. So do your document analysis. Go read the manuals. Go look at the reports. Go look at other people's BRDs. You're going to have to help yourself, right? Very few people are there to help you. But what you can do, you can make connections. So you send them a Teams message. Hey, I'm a new BA. I'm trying to learn about this process. Do you have, 15 minutes to just give me a little walkthrough of it? People can find 15 minutes in their calendar or even half an hour. But you got to target them and see, okay, look at the role. Who is working in this as a subject matter expert? Let me talk to them and see what they can teach me. And you kind of don't wait for your manager to set it up. Make connections and kind of help yourself as a new BA. How can you handle completing priorities? Completing priorities or conflicting opinion among stakeholders regarding a process improvement. What should I do when dealing with these situations? It's kind of the same advice I gave earlier, where you really just need to find the middle ground. What is the core problem that they're trying to solve? What's the core problem? And then what's the priority of that core problem? So you get from the stakeholders, you just need the problem. They don't really have to tell you what is, you don't have to highlight the competingness or the conflict that they're having. You can just highlight, these are the problems that you have. These are the problems that you have. And then when you meet with your team, you can say, this team has this problem, but if we solve it this way, then we're going to, it causes a conflict over here. And then you let your PM determine what is the priority. You don't need to determine priority of what to solve. That's not your job. Your job is, once you told me what the priority is, I'm going to go get the requirements, right? That is it. So that's what you got to do. All right, last one. The recruiters are demanding too much skills and certification. For instance, a recruiter wants a BA to come up with design for a task meant for a UX designer. What are the main responsibilities of a BA? So you don't have to get overwhelmed by this. You don't have to feel like you have to have every certification in the world for BA, and you have to do UX designer, you have to be a programmer. That's not your role. And if you're talking to a recruiter who's requiring that of you, that they're not a good BA recruiter. You are, right? Mainly if you're in a functional role as a BA, you are responsible for being able to elicit the requirements. You're responsible for being able to work in both Agile and in Waterfall, being able to participate in the Scrum, being able to write user stories. That's your role. And when they start asking you, oh, can you design in Figma? Can you do this and that? You're like, I know how to use Figma. But in the jobs I've been working before, there's always been a UX designer who's going to do the pixel perfect design. But if you need me to come up with a wireframe, yes, I can do that. I can definitely do that. Don't internalize and feel like you have to go learn all of these things to be able to get a job. Your focus is on being a BA, being able to do the functional role of a BA. You don't have to become a Scrum Master, you don't have to become a PM, you don't have to become a developer, you don't have to become a UX designer to get a BA job. All right. So don't let people put that in your spirit, because it's not true. And there's tons of us who are getting jobs as BAs, and we don't have to convert ourselves into UX designers. So that's definitely not something you should worry about. All right, so we're over time a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Remember to go and follow me on Facebook. Please go follow my Instagram account. I think Joshua put it in the description here, and I'll send you an email after this with that link. Facebook group, join the Facebook group. And also, if you're interested in writing user stories, come to Insightful February 25th at 12 p.m. Eastern time to 3 p.m. We're going to be banging out all kinds of user stories. User stories for UI development, user stories for backend, writing API user stories in Jira, user stories in DevOps. We're going to be just writing a ton of user stories. So when you leave that workshop, you shouldn't have any problem at all writing user stories for any situation, right? It's going to be awesome. So look out for that. Go to my website, karaleise.com, to sign up for that. And there is a discount code for 35%. It's $95 for the session for 3 hours. But there's a discount code you can use to get a discount on that as well. So thank you guys for joining, and I will see y'all in Insightful or in our next Global BA Stand-Up. Thank you guys. Take care.
We
Bye.
did.
Bye-bye. I have a few minutes left. If anybody want to ask any last questions, you can. I have like probably 5 more minutes I can give you. And I can stop the recording also.
I want to ask.
All right, hold on. Let me stop the recording.